Hey players, I have a confession to make. Growing up, at some point in my life, I was a bully. I know it may seem out of place because I've done a video on how I was bullied, but the truth is, I was a bully to a bunch of kids in middle school, and I want to share that story with you.
This is the Josh Speaks. You're watching the Josh Speaks.
Growing up, much like I'm sure you can attest to, is not easy sometimes. Dealing with other people and trying to impress them while also trying to discover who you are is challenging. There were times in my life where I took advantage of other people just so I can feel accepted, which was not a good thing to do. Looking back to elementary school, I've told you guys the stories before about how I laughed at a girl because her pants got ripped, or how I made fun of another girl because she was starting to develop breasts. But these bullying experiences focus solely on middle school, specifically when I was in Boy Scouts. I think for me, the need to fit in as a young boy was primal. We were broken up into packs in Boy Scouts, and that already created a disconnect between everyone being unified. There's nothing specifically wrong with teams. I was in the Hawk pack, and there was also the Grizzly pack. Hawks versus Grizzly. That's the way things went. But what about the kids that didn't fit into either of those teams? That's where the bullying began. It was easy for me to see an opponent on the other side. I felt like we were equal. But for the kids coming in from Weeblos who weren't sure which group they were going to join, we did nothing but make fun of them. There was one kid in particular that was a bit overweight, and everyone would rag on him for it. So not wanting to be left out of the crowd, I did it too. We'd always call him fat or big boned because that's what Cartman on South Park would call himself, but nevertheless we would make fun of this kid every Friday when we would meet up for Boy Scouts. My friends and I used to wrestle in the back after our meetings at Boy Scouts, which is what got us kicked out of it, and that's a story I've told you guys before. But one day, decided he wanted to join us and wrestle with us. He came over with one of the steel chairs from inside the building, set it up, climbed on top of the dumpster, and then jumped only to land on the chair and completely destroy it. The chair just broke in such a completely flat way that all we did was make fun of him for it. We went off on him. If he thought we were making fun of him before that, afterwards when we told everyone, man, they would not let him live it down. And this was a real dick move on my part. It's not cool to make fun of someone's weight like that and to keep berating them so that they feel bad. And I wonder now what our goal was. It clearly wasn't to help him lose weight of any kind, because we really didn't care about that, even if we said, oh, by telling him he's fat, he'll stop wanting to be fat. That's not how helping someone works, and shaming them for how they look only makes the problem worse. But that wasn't my only incident in Boy Scouts. The other one happened while I was at summer camp, and it happened between me and my best friend. There were kids in our troop that were a little bit older than us, and I think as a young kid, they set the standard for how I should be. So we went to summer camp one year. It was out in the woods, and it was kind of cold, and it was me, my best friend, and a bunch of other kids. My friend had only packed one sweatshirt to bring with him for the whole week. It was a red hoodie that he wore every single day. And as the days went on and he kept wearing it, the other boys kept calling him Little Red Riding Hood, which was totally pissing him off. Since he was my friend, I decided to not take part in that because I thought it wasn't cool. Here was my friend getting upset by something someone else was saying, and I didn't really want to play into that. That was until something happened. I don't remember what, but I do remember making fun of him, saying, well, of course, Little Red Riding Hood would do that, which got him super pissed. I think that was his last straw because he got up and jumped on me and started hitting me while I was on the ground. The two of us began rolling around on the ground trying to hit each other, and then he reached forward and bit my lip with his teeth. At that point, the troop leaders had pulled me and him away from each other, and everyone started laughing at him and calling him Dirty Red Riding Hood because he was covered in leaves and dirt. And I remember it hitting me then that he was my friend, not the other guys, and the only reason why I said that was because I thought they would laugh. And they made fun of him for what? For choosing to wear a red hoodie? It's never okay to make fun of someone for choosing to do something for themselves that has nothing to do with you. And that was something I didn't realize until way after. I was so caught up in what other people thought and trying to impress them that it caused me to turn on my best friend. Joining in with people making fun of my friends is something I fell prey to a lot, which is exactly what happened back in the 4th grade. I remember taking the school bus home with all the kids that lived in my neighborhood, and the kid sitting in front of me was my Chinese friend. In my elementary school, most of the kids were either Italian, Irish, and there were some Chinese and some Hispanic there. But for some reason, the kids sitting on the bus that day, in those seats around me, were all Italian, and they were all making fun of the Chinese kids sitting in the front. They were calling him a bunch of racial slurs. They were saying that as soon as he got home, his parents would beat him if he didn't get right to his homework. They were just saying a bunch of negative and bad things about him. And I'm sure for him, that was incredibly hurtful. No one wants to be made fun of for something they just are. And for me, I just saw everyone just joking around. I didn't take it that seriously. So I joined the bandwagon and made fun of him too. I reached to grab the top of his seat and looked over as I continued making fun of him. Eventually, he got so angry that he turned around and dug his nails into my fingers and told me to stop. I was the one that was shocked. I was thinking, how can you do this? What the hell's your problem? We're just joking around. And at the time, I didn't realize that I was once again being a dick. On any normal day, I would never make fun of him, but because everyone else was doing it, I felt like I needed to be part of that crowd. But all of that pales in comparison to one specific kid in middle school that I went out of my way every single day that I could to bully him. This kid was a completely normal kid. He just didn't have a lot of friends and didn't really talk to a lot of people, so I saw that as an opportunity to make fun of him. Isn't it odd that if someone doesn't aspire to be the popular kid or have lots of friends, we feel threatened and we feel like we need to push them as far away from ourselves as we can? I would do everything to this kid. I would spread rumors, I would shoot spitballs at him, and I would make fun of him and call him names all the time, but for what? Me and my friend group thought it was hilarious, and because he never stood up to us, we just kept doing it. I'm pretty sure at the time if he would have told me off or even kicked my ass, I would have stopped out of fear because he challenged me back. But because he never challenged me in any way, I thought he was accepting my abuse. It's a very weird way to look at things, I know, but I kept wanting to do more and more to see what his threshold level was. And I remember when we were graduating, we were given these little books that were called autograph books. So they each had different color pages, and you took them around to the different students and you got them to sign their goodbyes to you before you graduated. The way that it worked is that certain pages and certain colors meant certain things. Like for example, I think like the 8th page, since it was yellow, meant that was the person you had a crush on. So you held off that page to get your crush to sign it. Very weird system, but I think we just needed something to do. There was a girl in the 8th grade that was super attractive and super popular, so I had orchestrated a plan to make him believe that he was going to sign her 8th page. I had told one of the girl's friends to bring her book over to him, so when that friend explained to him whose it belonged to, he got super excited and signed it very quickly. And if we take a step back, when we first got the books, I remember going up to him and saying, "Hey, you're going to sign my book, right?" To which he told me I would never sign your book in a million years. So once he finished signing her book, I walked over, grabbed it, and thanked him for signing it. And he was pissed. Not only was he hurt by the fact that he thought he was signing this girl's book who he thought liked him, but the fact that he signed my book just set him over the edge. He got so angry with me, but he didn't do anything. All he did was curse me out and walk away. And I, of course, thought, dude, what's the big deal? It was just a joke. Get over it. But I didn't see the bigger picture. When you're bullying someone, you always default back to it's just a joke. It's not that big of a deal. But the truth of the matter is that you're only looking at it from your perspective. Looking back after all these years, I can connect the dots. Whether it's making fun of my friend because of his weight, how he dresses, what his race is, or just because he's not cool enough, I can see that every single time I gave the excuse, it's not that big of a deal. And not once did I realize that it's actually the victim that gets to determine if it is a big deal because they're the one having something being done to them. I wasn't a bad kid overall. I just feel like there were moments where I got sucked into being a jerk to people just so I can feel special about myself. And those actions are things I look back on and highly regret. There was no reason for me to be a jerk. And now, I just want to say I'm sorry to all of you. I know saying I'm sorry doesn't ever erase what you did, but hopefully by sharing this story, I can help prevent people from making the same mistake and trying to fit in by making fun of others like I used to. What do you think though? I want you to be honest with me. Have you ever bullied someone before? Leave it in the comments below and we'll talk about it. This was kind of a hard video to make because it's never easy talking about things that you did that were mean to others. Once you look back and reflect, you feel bad and you kind of want to avoid talking about those things. Hopefully this video helps you specifically. And if you want to learn more stories about how I was bullied growing up, check out the video over there on the right. I share what it was like for me as a kid, what kids made fun of, and how I learned to overcome the negativity from others. I believe that you can do it too. Let's end bullying once and for all, guys. As always, love and peace.